Who is going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday? We're breaking that down and more on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's roll.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Football fans, thank you for tuning in to a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm one of your local experts, Tyler Rowland, here with my co-host, local expert, Alex Clancy. We're going to be breaking down who we think is going to win the Super Bowl. What happens to the Chiefs if they win? What happens to the Chiefs if they lose? A lot of big storylines coming out of this game. Before we get into all of it, do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Once again, thank you for making the Locked On NFL podcast your first listen every day, Monday through Friday. NFL content all year round on all platforms and always for free. Make sure you get subscribed and stay subscribed to the Locked On NFL podcast. But the big game is ahead of us, Alex. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, led by all-world quarterback Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends of all time, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles with an MVP candidate quarterback in Jalen Hurts in their own right, and then just a tremendous roster from top to bottom there in Philly, built by GM Howie Roseman. This is going to be an incredibly entertaining game, in my opinion. I'm just going to go out here swinging first, Alex. I think the Kansas City Chiefs win this game. It's kind of funny because, as we talked about, it's the best quarterback in the league against probably the best roster in the league. And what wins? And I guess while I am a huge fan of what they've done with that roster in Philly, I love Hassan Reddick as a player. He's been absolutely tremendous in the playoffs, getting pressure on the quarterback. I obviously love A.J. Brown and think he's a fantastic player. What an addition to that offense. I just, at the end of the day, think it's a quarterback league, and when the chips are down on the table and everyone's all in, I'm going to trust the better quarterback to win the game. Andy Reid, I think, does have the edge coaching-wise over Nick Sirianni in Philadelphia. I just have a feeling that Patrick Mahomes finds a way to pull out this game when it's hanging in the balance. My official prediction for this matchup is going to be 31-27 Kansas City. I think they find a way to win that second Super Bowl with Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. How do you see this thing playing out?
Sure. I mean, that's fine. This is such a weird thing. It's like, it's a case study in what happens after you pay a quarterback and before you have to pay a quarterback.
Right.
That's what these two teams are. Patrick Mahomes, Howie Roseman has looked like a genius for who he's drafted and the trades he's made. You know, A.J. Brown signing Hassan Reddick, things like that. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts is making as much as I am, comparatively speaking. So it's easier to fill out that roster. Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, they're making they're making no money. Dallas Goedert, they have the ability to be able just to spend like crazy. James Bradbury didn't cost them a whole lot. Gardner Johnson didn't cost them a whole lot. They've built out this masterclass. I mean, Darius Slay was expensive, but in the offensive line and defensive lines. But I go back and forth because I've said Tom Brady until it's not Tom Brady. Well, it's not Tom Brady anymore. And then I said once it's not Tom Brady anymore, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes until it's not Patrick Mahomes anymore. But I feel like what we saw 2 years ago with the offensive line against Tampa Bay, it's not that bad, but I don't think this offensive line will be able to withstand the rigors of the front seven that the Philadelphia Eagles has. Having said that, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes until it's not Patrick Mahomes. If the under hits the 50.5 or 51, okay? If the under hits, the Eagles win. If the over hits, the Chiefs win. I think it's as simple as that. And I think the over will hit. So I will take Patrick Mahomes. I hope they're down 4 with a minute 15. I do. I want them to score a touchdown. I don't want it to be Harrison Butker. I want Patrick Mahomes to go out and just flex like he started at the beginning of the season against the Cardinals when I said this is going to be the year where he resurrects himself as the best quarterback undoubtedly in the league and takes the crown.
Yeah, I think that no matter what happens in the game, I hope that there is a have the ball last minute scenario where somebody has a chance to do something legendary. Because while I'm with you and I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the person who finds a way to win this game, and that's who I'm going to trust and put my money on. I believe right now at FanDuel.com, the Chiefs are still 1.5-point underdogs in this matchup. If Jalen Hurts, who somehow, some way, even with a great season that he put together, is still taking criticism. You got people at Super Bowl Media Day saying, I didn't think you could lead this team to a Super Bowl. Sorry, bro. And stuff. I mean, crazy questions. Nick Sirianni's question about his daughter dating play. I mean, there have been some awful questions at the media sessions in the Super Bowl, but clearly there are still Jalen Hurts detractors out there. I saw somewhere someone said Jalen Hurts may be the 11th best player on his offense. I think that is a bit absurd. I would take Jalen Hurts over Landon Dickerson or Isaac Samoa or Quez Watkins or Miles Sanders. I think Jalen Hurts is a better player than those guys. But either way, it's obvious that people still don't want to give Jalen Hurts the crown of being an elite quarterback. If he is down at the end of the game and leads that Eagles offense to a game-winning Super Bowl drive, I think there wouldn't be any more questions about that. But I like the point you made of rookie quarterback contract, massive quarterback contract. Can you win with either one of those? It's going to be interesting to talk about what kind of the dominoes are and the ramifications are if the Chiefs win this game and what that means for Pat Mahomes. Will Andy Reid retire? But we're also going to talk about what happens if the Chiefs lose this game and how the narrative could spin very quickly on Patrick Mahomes like it has another polarizing quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to break all that down as we continue on today's edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Before we move on, do want to tell you guys that today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn, Locked On, couldn't think of a better partnership. And if you want to find a great partner for your small business, then you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs in 2023. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools that go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, your company, and their 875 million member profiles. It's going to get your job post in front of the most qualified candidates, and you'll be able to connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
Locked On NFL Thursday, your team every day. Locked On Podcast Network. Tyler Rowland at Tic Tac Titans on Twitter. I'm Clancy's Corner. This, we don't know. People are saying that this isn't a sexy matchup. This is exactly what the 2-1 seeds.
Great matchup.
How is this? And it's the antithesis of how teams are built. It's just, and again, rookie quarterback scale, and not even rookie, second round rookie quarterback scale. And Patrick Mahomes, but there are two ways this thing can go. And we want to look at it specifically from the Chiefs' perspective because they're more substantiated in the lore of the NFL. We don't know what the Eagles are going to be. Second-year head coach, second-year really starting quarterback, kind of a mash of veterans from other teams and drafted players Jason Kelce, great stories. But Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are, if not the best, one, top two in their respective categories in the NFL, coach and quarterback. So we're going to look at it this way. In this segment, what if the Chiefs win? What are the ripple effects? Next segment, what if the Chiefs lose, as Tyler mentioned? So say the Chiefs win. Doesn't matter. The Super Bowl is the only game where it doesn't matter how it happens. If the Chiefs score 3 defensive touchdowns and win by 2, Patrick Mahomes is still going to have another ring. It doesn't matter. If the Chiefs win, Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans, Is he a top 7 quarterback of all time already? Let me ask it that way.
I think at that point 7 is fair. I think you might be able to go higher and go top 5 all time. I mean, it's funny because we're going to compare him to a great example that you brought up. We're going to compare him to another quarterback who I feel like these same conversations happened after he won his first Super Bowl. Right. But this would be 2. And there is a very elite company of people who have won 2 Super Bowls and quarterbacks that have won 2 Super Bowls. Give Eli Manning his credit. He's clearly not on the level of some of these guys like John Elway and Joe Montana and Peyton Manning and, of course, Tom Brady. Can't forget
Bradshaw.
Tom Brady, the GOAT there.
Those guys,
But, I think at that point, some of those names, like I just said, Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Mahomes. He's in that class and in that category if we get there. And him already being there with 2 Super Bowl wins and having still, I mean, with the way that medicine works and science is nowadays compared to what it was before, even 30 years ago, I mean, who's to say that Patrick Mahomes doesn't play until he's 42 years old, like Tom Brady went past and Aaron Rodgers looks like he might want to do? I mean, if Mahomes, who is 27 right now, plays another 15 years, 14 years, I just think it's impossible to ignore the fact that he's already got the qualifications to be a top 5 quarterback and has the potential to go even higher. So if the Chiefs do win this game, I think he is easily a top 7 quarterback of all time already. And I mean, you might be able to make an argument that he's even higher already.
Yeah. And I'm putting like Dan Marino in front of Troy Aikman. It's like, Troy Aikman's not a top 10 quarterback of all time. Terry Bradshaw is the Bill Russell argument, where Bill Russell's the greatest winner of all time. Terry Bradshaw has 4. Not all Super Bowls are created equal, but it's Terry Bradshaw, and 4 Super Bowls is 4. That's an echelon. That's like if Bill Russell would have won 14 or 15. It's impossible to win Super Bowls. Like half the league has never won one.
We
and
know
these
about
guys
that.
Won 4. It's interesting. And then, when it comes to Mahomes, there are things that like Michael Jordan and Aaron Rodgers are kind of the same, where it's like you can be a jerk in the NBA and just will your team to victory. The NFL is not the same. You need to be liked. You need to have trust. And I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is like, universally not liked. I'm not saying that at all. But compare him and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is Mother Teresa. Like it's just different. It's different because he's not selfish. He took less money, even though it didn't look like it. He got Chris Jones paid. He got Tyrann Mathieu paid. Okay, when Honey Badger was there, so they're different. Like Peyton Manning was loved, even though he was a terror on the sidelines during games. Tom Brady, same thing. But if they win, and you have that beautiful Tommy Bahama man on the sidelines calling the shots.
Big Red.
This is one of the best stories for Andy Reid specifically. He was out in Philly after 4 NFC Championship games in a row, okay? And he comes to Kansas City, gets the keys to the castle, and it works. It worked with Alex Smith. And they draft this kid who really people were like, oh, he's going to be the guy. Nobody said that.
That was not the conversation at the time. It's very similar to the quarterbacks now. People are saying Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, no way. These guys people don't know. People said the same thing about Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes, that they were risks and they weren't the first quarterbacks taken in their draft class. So you're 100% right.
So let me ask you, Andy Reid. Okay, there's rumblings. There's going to be rumblings from him every year. Like this is just going to be a hard reset, because how much more do you need at this point if you're him?
Right.
And he loves coaching. He hasn't had any sort of, knock on wood, like real health issues. Like Bruce Arians had a health issue. Like Urban Meyer's had multiple health issues. And I know that he's not the greatest example. Are we going to do that? Like he had a couple like, heart issues that have kept like, it's a part of it. Andy Reid has been, knock on wood, it's not a health factor thing that would cause him to want to retire. It's not a stress thing. He doesn't seem like a stressful guy. He wins more games than he loses. So it's a different thing. If they win a Super Bowl, if FanDuel had odds for this, what do you think the odds would be that he would retire? Like plus 300 and no minus 125 or something? Like, or is it not that close? Do you think he's going to come back regardless?
I actually do think he's going to come back regardless. But can I say this? If Andy Reid won the Super Bowl and decided to retire, I think it would be more about giving Eric Bieniemy a chance to run the team than it would be about him truly wanting to step away. I could see, like Bruce Arians, but in a totally different fashion, Andy Reid staying with the Chiefs organization as an advisor, in some sort of advisory role like that, because he wants to give Eric Bieniemy a real chance, and it doesn't seem like that chance is going to come just on Bieniemy's own volition in his own interviews. You hear, the whispers that Bieniemy is a terrible interview. He struggles. Maybe a little bit of a cantankerous personality that rubs people the wrong way at times. There's nothing out there to really substantiate that, because what team is going to come out and admit that after, a bad interview? Sure. But if Andy Reid takes into account his success, he's reached the mountain, done all you could really do. Realistically, he's going to be 65 years old here in the near future. I think it would be more about than Andy Reid being done and not having the itch anymore. I would see it more as he wants to pay it forward and give Eric Bieniemy a chance to have real success as a head coach and let him slide into that role. I don't think that Andy Reid retires if they win. I think he's got more in him, and he would want to come back and try to do it again. But I don't think it's insane either that Andy Reid would consider that for the reasons that I laid out.
I agree. Now, if he were to, and I love having this argument, we're going to go on to if the Chiefs lose, what does that mean for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? Because again, this isn't like a on purpose Chiefs-centric Locked On NFL Thursday. The Eagles they haven't won. Like, I know they won in 2017. This team is not that. What Nick Foles did was like the Slumdog Millionaire movie. Okay, it's like it didn't make any sense. Dev Patel had every answer. He knew every answer because of life experiences. There's no reason why Nick Foles should have won the Super Bowl. There's no reason why any of that should have happened. This Eagles thing is not that. This is going to be in perpetuity a good team, but they haven't got to the mountaintop yet, so it's not exactly the same. And with Patrick Mahomes already looking at being one of the all-timers, it's just a little bit more of a poignant conversation now. So say Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they win, we gave our thoughts. If they lose, and again, it doesn't matter in what fashion. People aren't going to, they got blown out. Well, they didn't have the best roster. So you have that inherent, saving grace, inherent scapegoat as to why. If they lose, what does that mean for the future of both head coach and quarterback? We'll talk about that next as Locked On NFL Thursday rolls on. First, FanDuel, okay? This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the number one sportsbook in America, man. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download the FanDuel app now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. Okay, the FanDuel app is safe, secure, easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Football fans, we are going to cap off this Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast, talking about what would happen and what the narrative might be if the Chiefs lose their second Super Bowl in a row. Well, not directly in a row, but their second appearance and their second loss. Before we get into that, do want to thank you guys again for making the Locked On NFL podcast your first listen every day. A reminder, Monday through Friday, NFL content all year round on all platforms and always for free. Make sure you get subscribed and stay subscribed to the Locked On NFL podcast. Going to have great Super Bowl conversation on tomorrow's show with your boy Q and Chris Carter on Locked On NFL Friday. Make sure you tune in for that. But Alex, we've been hinting at, teasing the comparison throughout the episode. But if the Chiefs lose this game, that would be 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 losses, both those losses coming back to back now. How quickly or how soon until the media turns on Patrick Mahomes? What do you think the Patrick Mahomes conversation might be, and how much do you think it might mirror Aaron Rodgers, another incredibly talented quarterback who people expected would win multiple Super Bowls that is yet to do so?
So I've been thinking about the Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes what if comparison for a couple years now, ever since the Super Bowl where the offensive line was, practice squad guys and Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. It won't ever. I think that this is going to be a LeBron James conversation where it doesn't matter. You get to so many that win-loss at that point doesn't matter. If they lose, though, but I think this conversation will be like if they get blown out, like if they lose 34-13 or something like that, and the offense can't move and he's getting sacked, all that stuff. Like if he throws 2 interceptions or something like that and one's a pick six, like you look at both Super Bowl losses and they are awful. And then, of course, because this is what people do, well, if Jimmy Garoppolo connected with Emmanuel Sanders, he'd be 0 for 3. Or if they didn't make that massive comeback, 4th and 25 connecting, or 3rd and 4th and 25 connecting with Tyreek Hill on that broken play, they wouldn't have won the first one. It's like, okay, David Tyree, Eli Manning, Mario Manningham,
Julian Edelman.
Yeah, like 28-3. All of them. It's just like, shut up. They made the Super Bowl. Would you rather a great player not make the Super Bowl or make it and lose? It's the dumbest argument. It's so dumb. So I don't think it'll be direct comparisons to Aaron Rodgers because people like Patrick Mahomes more than not. I think Aaron Rodgers has vilified himself at this point. I don't see Patrick Mahomes being that guy. Family life. He talks to his parents. He's got a wife and kid. Aaron Rodgers doesn't. Yeah. That's not a knock on Aaron Rodgers whatsoever. It's different.
Mahomes is more relatable.
He's Steph Curry, like he is. That's one of the best comparisons. Yeah. He is Steph Curry. He changed the game in a different way than Steph did, but still, he's already got. If he retires tomorrow, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer with 1 Super Bowl, without a question of a doubt. So if they lose, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Do you agree? I mean, I think that's pretty easy.
I don't know if I do, but I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it'll be a turn on Mahomes necessarily, but more of a turn on the Chiefs. With Travis Kelce get closer to the end than he is the beginning. With Andy Reid, as we talked about, closer to the end than the beginning. With Tyreek Hill being gone, and everybody will say, "Hey, in that Super Bowl that you won, Tyreek Hill was the one who made the great play on the wasp route, right? The famous move that they made there on the play that you brought up earlier." I think the conversation may be, hey, are the Chiefs good enough now to actually get it done? Are they just able to get through the AFC off the arm of Patrick Mahomes? Are they actually ever going to be good enough? And it goes back to the theme that we've been talking about the entire time. Roster versus quarterback. And the conversation may spin to, yeah, the Chiefs are good. Yeah, the Chiefs will get back. But will they ever have as good of a roster as they had when Mahomes was on his rookie deal?
Right.
And is Patrick Mahomes enough to get the job done without as good of a roster as the team that he's going at? One thing that people who follow me on Twitter or listen to my Locked On Titans show know is the only thing in this world that I love as much as sports is probably Batman. And in The Dark Knight, not only the best comic book movie of all time, but one of the greatest films ever made. The classic line, which has been reprised by Jay-Z and many others, is you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And we may, if Mahomes loses this Super Bowl, we may finally get to the point where Patrick Mahomes lives long enough to see himself become a villain, not in the sense that he's vilified in the way that Aaron Rodgers is, but to the point where people start to maybe lose a little bit of faith in Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Not their ability to be a good team, but their ability to get it done on the biggest stage when you're paying Pat Mahomes that much money. And in a roundabout way, people may blame Mahomes and the money that he's making for being what keeps the Chiefs from not getting there, but winning once they get there. And I do want to say I love your Steph Curry comparison to Pat Mahomes. Could we compare Aaron Rodgers to Kevin Durant? Someone with incredible talent who don't see as the greatest leader, who did win, but now that they haven't been able to win since, it kind of cheapens their win a little bit, whether that's right or wrong. Just throwing that out there. Steph Curry to Pat Mahomes is a great comparison, but Rodgers may be Kevin Durant in that scenario.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, it's just, it could be Kyrie, like without actually like leaving teams. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, I don't know why this makes sense, but it does. And this is nothing. It's Adam Levine, Novak Djokovic, Aaron Rodgers. They're the same person. Different sports, different media, whatever. They're the same.
Yeah.
They're the same. I can't explain why they're the same, but
I'll add Miles Teller into that. Some incredible performances. Whiplash, blah, blah, blah. Miles Teller and Aaron Rodgers are friends. They've hiked in Hawaii together. But Miles Teller is notorious in Hollywood for being a jerk on the set. Dang. Yes, absolutely. Which is why it was so funny when him and Rodgers were confirmed to be buddies, because it's like, oh, you guys are kind of the same guy. Incredible talent. Not a lot of people get along with you. Blah, 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 blah. So just to take your trio and make it a foursome there, I think those four guys you could probably put together in a little bit of a box. But with that being said, that's going to do it for the Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. We got a great game ahead of us on Sunday. We're going to be back with you guys next Thursday to talk about everything coming next. Once that Super Bowl ends, the floodgates will open on off-season moves. We expect trades, cap cuts, free agency conversations will begin. The combine right around the corner.
Just ramping up, baby.
Yeah, the NFL season never ends. It's a 12-month-a-year sport. I mean, we get like a 3-week break in July, and other than that, it is chaos at all times. And very excited to break it all down with you guys. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed to the Locked On NFL podcast. That's going to do it for me, Tyler Rowland, and my co-host, Alex Clancy. You guys stay safe out there and enjoy the big game.